Welcome to episode 64 of the Rex Chapman Show with my super dope homeboy from the Lex Town, Josh Hopkins. What up, Josh?
What's happening, Rex Everett Chapman? How's Brooklyn?
Brooklyn's good. Brooklyn's in the house. How's Austin?
It's nice. It's cooling down, feeling good. It's raining right now. Hey, do we have?
It's raining
look
here.
at us. Look at us with our
mirror images.
That's pretty cool. I'm going to do this and do that for the next one too. Let's set it up just like this for the next one.
Perfect.
64s? We got anything?
64s. I know this because nobody looked it up. This is not something I would have researched, but you know, George Blanda, famous number 16, he wore 64 one year, which of course we researched.
Wow, I can't believe you knew that.
Yeah,
off the top of your head.
At top of my head.
Right.
He wore it for 1 year. I knew that.
Well, that's about all we got. Richie Incognito is, but that he probably made the number not very popular. So
yeah, not incognito.
Yeah.
Well, Josh.
Book club.
Book club.
Yeah. Well, we gotta inform our listeners. It's would you read this week?
We had the election and all that. I've just been consumed with information that I'm getting off the television. So I read nothing.
Oh,
no,
that's not very helpful.
Nothing. What about you, Josh?
I have this road. I've decided not to do my road biking anymore, and I have this bike to sell. So it's like, how am I supposed to read when I've got to think about how I'm going to sell that? Right.
Yeah, right.
So
I mean, you can't read and do that.
No, that's
Not
been
so you
book
didn't
club.
read anything. Nice.
That's been book club. I know we're going to get to our guests because we really want to.
Yep.
But I just have to say, first of all, the best player in the league right now is Luka. Okay. It is. To me, he's established it. All those, but the guy who should be in the MVP discussion so far with stats like this is our boy Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I just want to read you off the start of his season. Okay. Here's his points. He started 28, 33, 24, 38, 34, 37, 18, 33, 39.
So from what I gather in there, he didn't even give a shit in 2 games where he didn't get 30.
Yeah, he mailed it in.
I mean, what is that? All about 24 one night, 28 one night? Golly.
That's first team NBA stats right there.
Crazy.
That is, he's quickly becoming the most underrated player in the NBA is what that means.
He's right up there with becoming the most unsung of Cal's Kentucky recruits to be the best pro, right? Yeah. That ratio.
Yeah.
I can't think of another guy. He came in, he was a backup to Quaddy Green as a freshman.
He was a 4-star.
And then he becomes a lottery pick, and now he's one of the best players in the league.
And his game is like nobody else's in the league.
No,
it's
he's
just
big,
filthy.
And he's gotten where he can shoot it now. So game over.
Just not fair.
Game
All right,
over.
Rex.
All right, buddy. Let's get to this guest. I'm so fired up, bud. And we're going to take a little departure, but only a little one. We normally talk about basketball stuff.
And role reversal.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We normally talk basketball, but we're going to get into some acting and maybe a little politics. So let's welcome our guest, film, TV, and theater actor, Dollar Bill Stern on Billions, Trailblazers, and Rip City extraordinaire fan. We have Kelly Ray AuCoin. Kelly.
Hey, dollar bill, y'all.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate this.
Thanks for doing this. This is amazing. We were just talking. You're in California right now. I'm in Brooklyn. Josh is in Texas.
Oh, sweet.
You're shooting something out there right now.
Yeah, I'm shooting something called The Sterling Affairs, which is based on Ramona Shelburne's 30 for 30 podcast about Donald Sterling and the Clippers and that scandal. Yeah, from 8 years ago now. So
you're playing Andy, correct?
I'm playing Andy.
Yeah, I know Andy. So from years ago, he was heavy involved in that Clipper franchise from forever ago. So
Yep.
what a fun role.
It was interesting. My wife and I were watching Winning Time, which I loved, by the way. And I'd sort of forgotten this, but she reminded me that I turned to her and I was like, I want to get my basketball show because I'm obsessed with the NBA. And then 2 weeks later, I got this gig. So
how about that?
It's the one time I've manifested something by putting it out to the universe. So
that's
I got to be
great.
careful. That's power.
That is. Yeah, you don't wield that carefully. I mean, we haven't even gotten into it, but Rex has already told me you just said a huge basketball guy, huge NBA guy. And now this, I mean, this is perfect.
It's perfect. I know it's, and we're 2 weeks into shooting. I'm already in awe of all the acting talent. We've got Ed O'Neill and Lawrence Fishburne and Jackie Weaver. And it's just, I go to work and I'm just like, hi. It's like,
that's so cool.
And
it's cool of you to wear your Rex Chapman Halloween costume on the show. That was nice. Yeah, it's perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're a couple of handsome bald men, and
that's right.
I just I figured we should be mirror images of each other.
Josh is pretty enough for the both of us.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to get in your childhood, your upbringing, all that, but I want to defer to Josh here for a second.
Kelly, I'm an actor as well.
Yes.
And we've worked with a lot of the same people. I looked at your filmography. We've had a very similar trajectory, a lot of people. And then I was like, wow, this will be fun. We've got a lot. And then I look and see, I want to tell you this, my father was our congressman in our district in Kentucky as I grew up.
What?
And your father was your congressman growing up in the same impressionable ages. Like your dad was 75 to 93. My dad was 79 to 93. They served together.
What?
How crazy is that?
That is nuts. Yeah. So between the two of you, like exteriorly, Rex and I are exactly the same. And in terms of life experience, it's you and me. Holy shit.
What a meld, huh?
That's crazy. Was he a Democrat or Republican?
Why you gotta ask that? No, he was a Republican, but things were different. There was a time when Republicans were not insane. So right, exactly.
We're gonna go with
exactly.
That. Yeah.
What was that like for you? People always ask me that, and I always kind of say I didn't know better. But what was that like for you growing up?
I think the question I also have just right on top of that is, Josh definitely grew up playing every sport, wanted to be an athlete, didn't want to follow in his father's footsteps. Was that the same for you?
I did play sport. I mean, I played basketball, but I'm incredibly earthbound and pretty short. So I wasn't, there was no future in it, but I played through high school. I think that there was, this is going to come as a shock to you, that there's a certain performative aspect to politics. And I grew up watching my dad interact with people and feel comfortable interacting with people. And I grew up somewhat in the spotlight. The kids are going to be in the spotlight necessarily anyway. When your parent is running. So I think I grew up being comfortable with that, and that just somehow ended up leading into being curious about, I'll do the school play in second grade and then liking it. And I remember one time, like in fourth grade, doing a play called The Trial of Mother Goose, right? The chorus teacher wrote this play. It was a hard-hitting legal drama about old King Cole putting the denizens of Fairyland on trial for defamation of character. And I was old King Cole, and I remember doing something off script and the audience reacting to something I did, and I was like, what is that? I want that. And wow. I think I was hooked from that point on. But in terms of growing up with my dad in politics, it just became part of my DNA. We were campaigning all the time. We were going door to door. I never saw, we were just joking about this before we started taping, but I never saw the difference between, I never saw why someone in the public eye couldn't also be political. I get so many people, as I know you do, Rex, but I get so many people saying, "You fucking Hollywood actors, stay in your lane," and I'm like, this. I even tweeted something about it with a bunch of pictures from when I was 2. I was like, "This is my fucking lane. How long have you been in this fucking lane? I grew up in this lane."
Wow. So you come by that honestly because your dad did it, and I've asked Josh the same. Where his civic duty pride come in? How did that happen?
Kennedy. He was inspired by Kennedy. My mom was, I think it's safe to say my mom was politically active a little before my dad was. She was a page in the Oregon State Legislature when she was growing up. But my dad went into the Army and he was writing for Stars and Stripes. So I know that was a shaping experience for him being overseas. Both of them talk about talking to Germans about Kennedy. And my mom was actually in Germany. I think it was Germany, but in Europe when Kennedy was killed, and she was on a train with somebody, a European person who was like, I don't understand how this transfer of power works, Kennedy. So you don't have a president. She's like, no, we do, the vice president. And she was explaining this, the civics of it. But they both worked for Gene McCarthy. They'd been active from the get-go. My dad ran for state legislature when he was 28 and won. He was the first Democrat ever to win his district. And then when he won Congress, his congressional seat 4 years later, he was the first Democrat to ever win that seat and the first district of Oregon. And that's never been Republican since, which is interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. And and then before that, my grandparents, my grandmother was the president of the League of Women Voters in Oregon, and my grandfather was the vice president of the Oregon Grange. So, it just goes back.
Amazing. Who do you credit most with your foundation of becoming an actor? Your mom was a singer. Your dad could work the crowd. How?
It was a combination. It was a combination. I loved seeing my mom sing, and my grandfather played mandolin at the restaurant he built in Central Oregon. And
when you think about that,
yeah.
When you think about that, your dad playing mandolin, your mom playing,
my grandfather,
your grandfather,
yeah.
Playing piano. My grandmother played the piano, and I just think about her played by.
And your mom does too.
My mom does some too, and I just think about the growing up in that family, and every time she was playing, whether it was at a bar, she did gigs all over town.
Oh, cool.
and or at Thanksgiving, it was drinking and fun. So I can only imagine how it was for you.
Yeah, and we would drive. So we from Portland to where the rest of my family lived in in Central Oregon. We'd drive over the mountain. It's a 4-hour drive. We'd sing. This was pre-internet. We didn't have cars with screens in them, and we'd sing songs and we'd tell stories. And so storytelling and music was always in my life. From an early age, and it just was something I found joy in and comfort in. And then when you're growing up, it's Josh, I don't know if you had this experience, but like you're in junior high and high school, and you find it when you really need a community as a kid, and you find that community, and it's in theater kids, and they're the type of people that generally will accept you no matter what you are. They're not looking, you don't have to fit in. You're celebrated for being slightly outside of the norm, and that was something that I gravitated towards as well.
I beat the theater kids up.
That was you?
Yeah.
It was him.
I still got the scars, motherfucker.
No, I played sports and I could never do both. It was always a conflict, but I always just, performed in front of the school at all times, like morning meeting, I do a shtick and a thing, and always wanted to do that. How did your parents react when you said, I'm going to make this a profession?
I didn't tell them for a long time, I got I had the inkling I wanted to do it by freshman year, maybe even junior high, but by freshman year.
If someone just cut in, they'd be like, "Oh, he came out." You know, this
is welcome, viewers.
Yeah.
But my dad says, I don't remember this, but my dad says that when I did tell him, he kept a smile frozen on his face, and he took like inside, he died a little bit, and took a big deep breath and was like, "Great, okay, great." And he also talks about a play that he saw. It was, I think, sophomore year, senior year of high school, where he saw me do a performance that was not like me. It was the first time I'd done something that actually required acting. And when he saw that, he was like, "Okay, all right, he's working. He's working at this. He's serious about it. He's not just coasting by on, hey, look at me, I'm up on stage." And that helped him accept that this was going to be, at least for a while, I was going to be pursuing this path. And I could not have asked for more supportive parents. They really, you need that because it's a pretty scary field to go into in terms of safety net or not.
The Rex Chapman Show is sponsored by Fliff. Fliff is a social sports book with a chance to win cash prizes. Fliff customers can purchase Fliff coins, and then as a bonus, Fliff awards free Fliff cash with their purchase. Fliff is the only sports book that gives you free coins and cash daily. Sign up for Fliff, the social sports book. What makes us different, you ask? Fliff is a free-to-play sports book that awards real cash and prizes. Use the code BBNews for a 100% match bonus. No sports betting in your state? Try Fliff. My mom, my grandma, they all played piano. My sister started taking piano lessons when we had a piano in our house.
Right.
I'd come home, she'd be doing the piano, playing the piano. I wanted to take piano lessons, and I'd learned how to play a few things on my own. But I remember saying that like to my dad, and my dad being like, "Piano lessons? Okay."
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so I never did. Always wanted to. Right?
What was a very, very musical family. Like he could have, he had it when he just picked it up by ear.
Yeah, totally.
It was just something. It wasn't encouraged. Boys weren't encouraged to do that in the South in the 70s, I guess.
Right.
It was kind of, I'm sure I could have put my foot down. I didn't know to.
So it was more of a thing, sort of like a gender thing rather than.
I remember school plays. I always wanted to be in the school play and stuff, but I didn't have the courage to do it because it wasn't like cool enough.
Right. That's interesting about.
It's so dumb.
Well, the interesting about music in the South, because there was so much great music in the South coming out of the South in the 70s too.
Oh yeah.
So.
Your dad played high school hoops. You played high school hoops.
My dad was all state, by the way.
Wow.
Was there a pressure on you to play high school hoops and be good in high school hoops?
No. Again, he knew, we all knew it wasn't going to be nothing beyond high school. Maybe if I went to a very small college, which I did, and I still didn't make that team.
Did you play all 4 years of high school?
I did. It was a small school, but it was DC. DC's a good basketball town, but it was a small school. I'm just under 6 feet tall, and I was playing power forward. So that shows you how smaller. But I was tenacious, man.
That works in high school, man. I've seen it.
He didn't pressure me to play at all, actually, but we bonded over it early on. Before we moved to DC, we were in Forest Grove, Oregon, small town, and we had a hoop in the back, and he taught me how to play. And I remember, it must have been 7th grade, the first time I beat him, and he was like, "I want you to know that's the first time I didn't let you win." And I was like, that was cool,
Yeah,
that is.
And so it was a way we bonded. He came to, it's crazy. As a congressman, he still made easily over 50% of my games. I don't know how he did it. Sometimes he'd come see a game and then he'd go back to work. And we had such a connection that there were times when I was the designated free throw shooter on the team, and which was awesome.
Yeah.
Because we worked at that. And whenever we would go work out and play ball, I'd shoot 50 to 100 free throws at the end. He wouldn't let me go without doing that. So it was like our accomplishment when I was designated that. And there were times when I would miss something, I'd clank something, and I'd see him up in the stands, and he'd be like, like he would do something like this. He'd signal what I was doing. It was off. And 9 times out of 10, after seeing him make that gesture, I switched the next one, And it was
bend your knees, bend your knees,
bend the knees, go up on the toes,
get up on your toes.
Yeah, you're switching. No, come on, bounce. Like we do your thing. Go through your routine. And
isn't that amazing? And now when you became so proficient at that you can look at LeBron and see when he shoots all arm right from the free throw line. You go to yourself. All arm. He didn't move his. Just a little. Get up on your toes. Get up. Tim Duncan, same way. Like, oh, come on, man, come on, Tim.
Totally. I could fix you. I could fix you.
But it's also a great way to approach a script, or you learned repetition.
Yep.
You learned building from the base up. That that's a. We always talk about how you take sports into life and how it can really affect and change your life for the good. So that's an exact example.
Yeah, they're transferable skills. Being methodical about how you approach something, even if it's a completely different character. It's like, what are the types of questions you ask, in what order? What type of is there a physicality? Maybe is there something in this? What are the other people saying about your character? And yeah, you're right. It's a very similar thing.
And it's got to teach you a lot, I would think, about being on a team. Being on a team, you step on stage with a bunch of people that are, kind of stars in their minds as well. Yeah. And, it just, I love that part of it. What kind of mindset, Kelly, do you have to have? You move to New York and you're going to pursue acting. Are you going to become what you've become? A guy who's got a starring role on, a terrific show right now, and, or were you just trying to pay the rent?
It's interesting. That question folds in with something I was going to say about what we were just talking about being on a team. To me, the most important part of acting is the ensemble. I love being a part of an ensemble. The only acting award I've ever won was a Drama Desk Award for a play I was doing. It was Outstanding Ensemble. And I wanted to make a living acting. I didn't care about stardom. I didn't care about being rich. Wouldn't mind if any of those things happened, but I wasn't expecting them, and I certainly wasn't looking for them. But I wanted to be part of. I wanted the juice that I got from being a part of a team, of an ensemble. And so even when I was doing tiny little plays in New York, I would get that. And as long as the play wasn't god awful, and it just kind of grew. I started making friends that stuck, and who, some of them directors, who would then move on to bigger things, and then they would be like, "Hey, let's get Kelly in here." That's sort of. I was the tortoise, and my mantra recently has become, embrace the tortoise. It can work. Do it. Do something. If you're going to get involved in this to get rich and famous, you're going to 99% you're going to be disappointed, and you're not going to do the work that is required to actually become good at this. You got to do it for the love of acting, and I'm lucky I had cheap rent when I moved to New York, because it was a long time before I got paid. I was in my 30s before I was getting paid consistently, and a lot of people started dropping out, which probably worked to my favor. There was a guy at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival years ago, Sandy McCullum, great actor. He was pushing 80, had been at the festival for 30 years or something, and he was like, "You're good, AuCoin." He called me AuCoin of the realm. It was like, "You're good, AuCoin of the realm, but you may not work for a while, and it's okay. Stick it out." Because I didn't work until I didn't really work till I was like 50. And then I started working a little bit because people started dropping out. And then when you turn 60, it's great because people start dying. and then you're going to work like gangbusters. I'm glad I didn't have to wait till then, but it's an interesting thing. People start falling off.
I swear the story sounds so much to Josh's, who Josh didn't tell his family. You didn't tell your parents you had started acting and dropped out of school, right, Josh?
Yeah. They quickly figured out I dropped out of school.
It's hard to fake that.
Yeah, it is. But I was so lucky too, because my parents were obviously concerned. They're like, what? Yeah. But they've supported me the entire way, which what you said is so key.
Yeah.
And I like what you said too. You've got to, I remember my friend, I don't remember this, but my friend Brad Stevenson, he tells a story of when I first was in New York and he came up and he said, so how long are you gonna give it?
Yeah.
This thing. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, how long till, I was like, forever, until I am. That's the attitude you have to have. Yeah. I know you have that. People always, ask me to talk to their kids or their, nephew who's coming in. And it's always the worst when they're like, yeah, I just really want to be an actor or a model or something. I'm like, oh God,
yeah.
Do anything else. You have to be 100%.
Yeah. You guys you were talking about, it being on a team and an ensemble, and one of my favorite sports kind of things. I was actually fresh out of rehab 8 years ago. And I was in Houston with John Lucas. And I know, John Lucas, Kelly, long time. He was the number 1 pick in the draft in the early 70s. He was in and out of the league for coke and drinking and through his whole career. He also was a 2-time NCAA tennis champ while at Maryland. He played in Wimbledon. He could beat everyone except like Borg, McEnroe, the top 5 or 6 guys. And I asked him one day, we're driving from like one meeting to another meeting. And I said, Luke, why did you decide to play basketball and not tennis? I said, why couldn't you beat those guys? And he said, well, I only played tennis like 3 months out of the year. Those guys just hit way more balls than I did. But then he said, plus I realized I liked saying we lost better than I lost.
Wow. Yeah, there you go.
I like that. That's
right. That's pretty good.
You rise together and you crash together. That's right. Great. Wow.
Tell me, I'm dying to know, where does this love? I know you're from Oregon, so natural to like your hometown team. But where does this love of the Blazers and the NBA, like, why is that your jam?
NBA, probably because growing up in Oregon, it was the only professional sport. And I did not adopt the Seahawks. Maybe nowadays with the internet and devices everywhere, I would have followed another regional team, but it wasn't in the cards back in the 70s. In terms of the Blazers, that was just, my dad and I bonded over basketball. None of the early on anyway, none of the college teams were any good, although the Beavers actually with Ralph Miller became something in the late 70s. It's just, my dad and I would go to games. I remember watching LaRue Martin play. I've told this story before too. Like, number 1 draft, one of the first of the problematic center choices that the Portland Trailblazers have experienced over the years. And I remember watching this game. My dad was watching over his shoulder, and this guy was just wreaking havoc on the court. And I was like, wow, that guy's really good, right? And he's like, yeah, it's like the only good game he's ever played. But yeah. And I'm sorry, LaRue. Apparently he's the nicest guy in the world. But
he is, and there will be no Sam Bowie slander on this pod with Josh and I on here.
Not at all.
Yeah.
That guy made an all-star team. Right?
Yes, he did.
Or all rookie team.
He was a really good player.
He was a really good player. I completely agree. I just wish we'd won the coin flip. When I look back at that draft, I lament the coin flip, because we would have had Drexler and Olajuwon together again.
Can you imagine?
Can
you imagine those guys in their prime? They were a problem late in their careers.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Hey, also,
but I was just going to say, when I moved to DC, I was 9 years old, and it was like small. It was a small town, Oregon, to a big city, and the Blazers won the championship. And that first year, and I was just like, "That's Oregon telling me the Blazers are saying it's going to be okay, kid." And then the Bullets won, your future team, Rex.
Right.
The Bullets won the next year, which was my adopted East Coast team, and so I was like, "This is great. This is what happens. You like a team, and they win championships. Fuck, this is going to be great." And neither of them have won since.
That's so crazy because like Josh and we're all about the same age. I think you and I, Kelly, are exactly the same age, 55.
32.
Yeah. And we didn't have professional basketball in Kentucky. Wes Unseld played for the Bullets. He's a Louisville guy. My dad played on the Kentucky All-Stars with Wes.
Wow.
I don't even remember really those championship teams. I don't remember Bill Walton really playing until he was with the Celtics.
Interesting.
Like it's just it's weird. You grew up in a place where you could go see NBA games.
Yeah.
And we just didn't have that ability in Kentucky.
So you didn't see the Dandridge, Bobby Dandridge Bullets, Wes Unseld, Elvin Hayes, Bobby Dandridge guys? Oh.
No. I mean, I saw them later on film and whatnot, but no, I just don't remember that. How formative was that for you with, just Bill Walton, Maurice Lucas, Lionel Hollins? These are guys that, that I got to know and play, and actually play some against later on. But how was it as a kid watching those guys?
It was amazing. I grew up worshiping a type of basketball that wasn't really being played as much during that era, moving the ball around, cutting, constant motion. And even the Bullets the next year, that was very much a plotting team, ISO, and still great at that. But watching this kind of, that informed what I love to see in basketball these days. And that's one of the reasons I love what the Trailblazers are doing this year. Not to bring it back to the Trailblazers, but
please do.
They are dogs, and it's messy right now. A lot of turnovers and everything, but it's a whole bunch of new faces, and they're running as good as the Blazers have been during the Lillard era at times. Never quite gotten past that hump, partially maybe because they didn't have this kind of energy. And I just love seeing the unselfishness. And that actually also, I think, informs what I love about acting. It's the type of basketball I wanted to play, although I never had those skills. It's what I wanted to bring to whatever I was going to do. And I was determined that that thing was going to be acting. Unselfishness and, if one of us rises, we all rise. What rising waters raise all boats, whatever the phrase is.
I think about how lucky we are right now. And we've had one of these people on the show. I'm hopeful we'll have the other person on the show, but to be able to watch Stephen Curry and Damian Lillard right now, maybe not, I don't know. Dame's probably in his prime. Steph is, he's still pretty damn good. Yeah. But these are two guys who we're able to watch right now who are socially conscious. They almost always say and do the right things. They're both selfless stars. They give love to whoever else. How lucky are we right now to be watching a guy like Dame Lillard? Steph gets his love all the time. Dame maybe doesn't quite as much. Where do you stand on Dame Lillard?
Yeah, Dame, I'm constantly berating my castmates on Billions, the ones who follow basketball.
Hold on. Dollar Dame?
Dollar Dame. Dame Dollar. Dame
Dollar, Dollar Bill. This is all coming together.
It's all coming together.
By the way, welcome Damian Lillard. Oh, sorry.
He's your next guest. I got some Dame Dollar swag. I got a T-shirt with the D with the and a hat that says Dollar that I've worn it to table reads, and people are looking at me like, those who don't know basketball are looking at me like, did you make that for yourself?
Yeah. I was going to say, you got all this cool stuff that you can't wear.
I know. And I didn't bring it to LA. Otherwise I would have worn it on the show. But I think Dame is one of the most underrated superstars out there. And there are people, last season, there was a younger member of the cast who was just like, yeah, I think Luka Doncic is like the most clutch guy, or a couple other people. And then these guys, and I was like, Damian Lillard is literally the most clutch NBA player. And he's like, well, other than that one shot he hit, and I was like, wait, what?
You
The fuck are you talking about? You get out now. And there was a PA, a great guy, production assistant on the show, who it was a season when I think 2-3 seasons ago when Dame was in the MVP for a while, the MVP discussion. And I said he was listing the people he thought were contenders, and I was just like, well, you got to put Lillard in the discussion, and he just did this, literally did that, and I to my discredit, I literally got pissed.
Isn't that amazing?
And then I was like, okay, wait, sorry, Matt, sorry. But come on, you gotta, and people don't see enough Blazer games. I historically haven't seen enough to know how good he is.
But this is the type of year, like their start, obviously they have to keep doing this, but this is the type of year where he should be in that conversation legitimately. If he takes this team and can keep them at the top of the West all season, near the top of the West, he's going to be having that kind of year.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because he's taking a step back. I think there were 3 games where he's passed off twice at the buzzer, and then once later, 2 other players to take the last second shot. And the most recent one was Josh Hart against Miami. Nice. And he's trusting them, and he's empowering them. He's helping to create this culture where he doesn't always have to be the guy. And he's probably going to score. His average is going to be a little bit lower. His minutes are probably going to be a little bit lower, which is great. He's already got a calf strain. But that in and of itself is leadership, and that in and of itself makes him valuable as anybody else in the league. So
well, like it's, to put it in our terms, an unselfish actor.
Yep.
Like you played with a superstar, in a movie or whatever, and you're doing your thing, and then they send their stand-in for your side.
I was just going to ask if you'd experienced that. Yeah,
I have.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay. All right.
Oh, that sucks.
That
sucks. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. But it's like that. It's like, no, I'm always going to shoot the shot. And it's like, well, then why do I give a fuck?
Right. And why would I even try it on the 1% chance you might pass it off?
And we could definitely name athletes like that who would order a stand-in to come in for for the
metaphorical
bullshit. Yeah, right.
I got to make I totally lied right there. I don't know why. I just felt pressure, and I was like, yeah, I've had a guy do that. I've never had a guy do that. It's like it's like the old, have you read that book? And I'm like, yeah. That's a great book.
What was your favorite part? The part that I read.
What was your favorite verse of the Bible?
In the Bible.
Yeah.
Donald Trump. Well, I like all of them. I like all. That's a personal thing.
That's personal. Yeah.
But anyway, my second favorite book is The Art of the Deal.
Oh, that's very good. That's very good. There was an actor that I worked with 6 years apart, guest starring on 2 different shows. And both times in the big scenes I had with them, it doesn't matter.
You're really safe now, though.
With that.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't stick around. And one time, even the producers came, one of the executive producers, or I don't remember who it was, but came up and was like, I'm really sorry, but do you mind doing it with the script person? And that particular time Anthony LaPaglia and the script person, and I was doing scenes with the two of them. And he finally was just, LaPaglia, to his credit, was like, he can't do it. No, come here. And he did her lines too for me. And that was great. So it wasn't exactly what the scene was, but at least I had an actor working and giving me something. And, this guy's big. At that time, he was a big TV star. He just starred on Broadway a number of times. And I always respect the people who do stick around. On Billions, they all do. Damian Lillard my other Damian, Damian Lewis, is as alpha as Bobby Axelrod in his own way, but chill. He's not a sociopath. But he is also like one of the best ensemble members you could have, and he always sticks around, does the reverses.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Sets the tone. Yeah, he's a great guy. All of them.
That's amazing. Tell me more about the Sterling affairs, please.
I'm not allowed to say much.
All right,
but
we know the ending.
You know the ending, and the podcast exists. I highly recommend everybody check out the podcast. Ramona Shelburne, 30 for 30, called The Sterling Affairs. It's great reporting. It's good. The scripts are really good. It doesn't, it doesn't deviate from the story. When at the first table read, I was zooming in. They were here in LA. I was still in Brooklyn. I was just in awe of the talent. Everybody's great. It's you're gonna like it.
Can't wait. Can't wait. Who's go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but that reminds me now about of Winning Time. Did you guys watch and like Winning Time?
Yes,
I loved it, and I was curious. I'm not 100% sure why Jerry West, everyone was running to Jerry West's defense, and he was so pissed, because to me, that was one of the most sympathetic characters in the entire show.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Mm-hmm. It was just like, I really want to win, and maybe portrayed as not the most socially graceful person, but no, right. I didn't see anything particularly negative about it. Did you?
Right. Well, I think that in the beginning, everyone just thought he was because the pilot and all, you don't get that he was just a cocksucker. He was just such a dick in the pilot and stuff. And the character, the arc grew to where it was, a sympathetic character. So I think at first, like, what the fuck?
So maybe the narrative was set. People thought this was what the narrative was going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay. Well,
I think so. No, I loved it. And I guess I played against a few of those teams. Amazing. And, can remember going out after the game, being a limo to go to the Playboy Mansion, and all the players, all the whatevers were there. And it just, to watch, they did such a great job of casting,
right? And the casting director deserves an Emmy.
It was just beautiful to watch, and I couldn't get enough. I'm with you.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I just like basketball. I'll buy a team.
Damn, you're good. I'm impressed.
Yeah. This podcast is brought to you by Branded Bills, the best place online for premium headwear and apparel. Branded Bills has hundreds of designs available, including our popular state collection, where you can show your pride with hats, shirts, hoodies, and more for all 50 states. Are you a company looking to brand your business? Branded Bills also offers custom apparel options that can meet your brand standards with fast turnaround and shipping. To shop or learn more, visit brandedbills.com today. All-time starting five Blazers.
Oh,
5 only.
Okay.
Wow.
5 only.
This is so hard. And I know on the spot, I know I'm going to leave someone out. When this airs, I'm going to tweet a bunch of caveats.
Okay.
So I'm going to go. I hate to leave Terry Porter off the list, because Terry may be my absolute 100% favorite Blazer ever.
But he also might be your 6th favorite, apparently.
Well, favorite versus team construction.
Okay.
I think the backcourt's got to be Dame and Drexler, Dame and Clyde.
Yeah.
That's so dirty.
I do think I would go Walton. And a lot of people say Walton couldn't handle the modern game, but he played with the 85 Celtics. Like, come on, he did well.
Right.
I mean, yes, longevity, as someone has said, longevity aside, he may have been the best center ever, but it's kind of hard to put longevity aside. So that, and then Sabonis, if he had come over when he was drafted, Jesus. But so I'll go Walton.
And Walton.
So Dame, Clyde, Bill Walton. When all is said and done, I may go Jeremy Grant because he's playing so well, but I got to say LaMarcus.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I just
And-
can't believe how much you hate Brandon Roy.
I love Brandon
everyone
Roy.
heard it here. No, everyone heard it here.
Everyone.
Kelly AuCoin.
And let's
Love
bring him
Brandon.
on. Brandon?
hates Brandon Roy. That's always
love-
been the rumor out there, but
Love Brandon.
confirmed
Actually,
here.
Like things shift for me all the time. I was interviewed, asked about who's my Mount Rushmore, which only gave me 4, and I had Brandon on it at one point. I could talk a whole podcast about how tragic that is and how much I love
Me
that
too.
guy. And then the last one would be you got to have a glue guy like Jerome Kersey.
Oh, I love that you said Jerome Kersey.
Yeah, great.
Rest in peace, Jerome
Yes.
Kersey.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Also, rest in peace,
Mo
former
Lucas.
teammate of mine, Mo Lucas, but Kevin Duckworth.
Yes.
who I played with,
Oh,
and what a
yeah.
gentle teddy bear of a human being. Just a fantastic guy.
I'm glad to hear that. He's the type of guy you wanna believe that about. Where'd you play with him?
In Washington with the Bullets.
Oh,
We
of
had
course.
those great Bullets teams. You remember
Yeah, I'm
from the early 90s. All right, Kelly, favorite movie? Got one?
For the longest time, it was Casablanca. I like old movies. I'm going to say the movie I actually could never tire of watching, another old movie, is The Thin Man. Myrna Loy and William Powell. That's probably why I love martinis as much as I do, actually. But yeah, and then, no, I'm going to go with that because there are too many great modern ones. What about you guys? Favorite movies?
Oh, man. I don't, I do know mine.
Yeah,
Arthur.
we never asked you. Arthur.
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw
Arthur.
that like
Do
7
yourself a
times when it came
favor,
out.
watch it again.
Yeah.
I watched it here just because I live in New York now and wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And I laugh my ass off every time. It's just a great story.
His
Great
physical comedy is incredible in that one. When he's set, I
Drunk.
remember he sets the glass on the car on the dashboard or whatever it is on the hood, and then he's like, he keeps coming back, like it doesn't move.
That's right.
It's great.
Do yourself a
Brilliant.
favor, watch it again, rewatch
Yeah.
it. Josh, what's
Brilliant.
yours, Josh?
Mine's Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh fuck yeah, good.
That's my favorite piece of art in the
Yeah.
world. I keep going back to it, and it always makes me happy and sad. And I watch it at least once every 2 years.
Yeah.
I can't watch that final sequence without tearing
Yeah.
up.
Oh God.
And
Yeah.
how amazing to watch all these actors that were pretty young at the time and knew
Mhm.
all these actors who became really huge character guys later on. Really doing amazing work. Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. And the whole
Christopher
movie, he's like
Lloyd.
this.
Christopher
Danny
Lloyd.
DeVito, and the whole movie's like,
Yeah.
I want a cigarette. No, I want a cigarette.
And none of it felt showy. It all felt
No.
so specific but they went there, and
They all got together and lived there for like a week or whatever before
think I
Jack
heard
even came in.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. Actually, I didn't know that part. It's great not to
Wow.
have the alpha there, maybe.
Yeah.
That's
They start their
amazing.
thing.
It always makes me wonder too, like so early on, Danny DeVito showed these amazing acting chops. And I don't remember him ever getting a chance to do that again. And maybe because Taxi happened not so long afterwards, within 5 years or so. And then he was like, oh, this is my moneymaker. And he's great at that. That's not a sellout thing. I'm not saying, but he had chops.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, I saw Taxi just passing by it the other day, just stopped. And it was
So
like,
good.
it was so good. And he was amazing.
Yeah.
I was a kid
Great
and
guy.
I couldn't realize that he was great. I was like, that's just him.
That's just him.
And
Yeah.
yes, to see it as an adult, look back and see how great he was in that role. Perfect.
Yeah. And how cool that he and Christopher Lloyd got to work together again.
Yeah.
After that movie. Josh, I have a question. What shifted you from sports into acting? Or what was the thing that made you want to join the kids that you beat up so often early on?
I was better looking than I was athletic. So it was a natural. No, I always wanted, I said as a kid, for some reason, I wanted to be an actor. I always loved it. I loved movies. I did the plays in junior high, and I wasn't the beat up the kids. I loved it.
Yeah.
I just didn't really get a chance. And it's not like, I don't know, when I went off to school, I enrolled in the acting program, and later transferred out to radio, TV, and film, but that's where my goal was. I went to Auburn University, and at some point I became very depressed because I'm like, I'm not doing anything here that I want to do. I'm just on a treadmill. So I had to quit, and I went to theater stuff and moved to New York, much like yourself, and just had to do it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, John.
Front row center to watch any performer, speaker, athlete, dead or alive.
Front row center. I would love to watch some of those old Shakespeare actors from like the 1800s. I'd love to see how those theater actors, how those styles have changed. I'd love to see like Sandra Bernhardt or Sarah Bernhardt and
Sandra Bernhardt.
She's been around a long time,
and she doesn't do a lot of Shakespeare either, as far as I know.
But she's aged really well, don't you think? Yeah.
Yes.
Sarah Bernhardt, Elena Duza, Garrick, and all those. That would be fascinating because I love theater. Theater is still my first love, and I'm fascinated by how the styles have changed. The presentational style versus what we have now, that sort of that was ushered in the the Meisner technique and all that.
Right.
Fantastic.
Stanislavski. So that's what I would probably want to do.
That's great. We haven't had anything. That's two questions we ask at the end every time, and we haven't had it. Those are
Nice.
both never been done. Before we go, just going to throw a couple actor names out and their basketball comps. Okay. All right. Marlon Brando. You too, Rex. You're in on this too, Rex.
Me too. Well, I go right to, guys who were amazing and then kind of ate their way out of the league. So Hot Plate Williams, I don't know. Oliver Miller.
I was gonna say Oliver Miller. Yeah, I know. But so I would go, but he's also I won't. Yeah, Oliver Miller.
Wow, he's known as like the greatest film actor possibly ever. Changed the game.
Well, Miller was talked about by people like Shaq. They were like some of these guys were angry at him for letting himself go because he was considered so brilliant in college. Right? That's my memory. And
I get that, but you guys are going too much fat and not brilliance. I mean, he was very Jordan-esque. He changed the game.
Sean Kemp.
And he was a dick to everyone. Sean Kemp.
I don't know if Kemp was a dick, but Sean Kemp by the time he got to the Blazers.
Okay.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh, wow. I think of a Swiss Army knife, really.
Yeah. Fuck. Grant Hill.
Well done.
Okay.
Well done.
All right.
I don't even know that I can do that. Scottie Pippen.
I was thinking, and hear me out for a second, just Kobe, because the weird freak dedication. Like people are like, that guy, I can't even, he's crazy. He's
it could be Jordan too, but I'm saving Jordan because it might be something, it might be appropriate.
Okay. Let me see. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Wow. Rick Fox.
Steph.
Okay.
Well done. Well done. Yeah. Okay.
The modern day. Yeah. Okay. What about Jack Nicholson?
Oh boy, that's a good one. That's a good one.
A guy who has the ability to do anything, but he also has this really very, very specific kind of like smug kind of like, like he enjoys misbehaving. Like
Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas.
Barkley. Kind of the kind of guy that can say anything and no one gives. Jack had that. He does whatever, and they're like, it's just Jack.
Barkley.
Yeah, I was going to say Rodman for a second, but I think that's not. I think Barkley. Yeah, more so.
Rodman, I like that. Okay, then we'll finish it up here. Tom Cruise.
Oh wow, that's God.
Really earnest.
Yeah. This is tough.
Yeah, super.
This is really tough.
He's our movie star of kind of our whole.
Kyrie.
Yeah, he definitely put people off for a while.
Yeah, I could see Kyrie jumping on couches, I'm sure. Kyrie's not bad.
Dude's an artist. He's an artist. He's more than a basketball player. He's not, Kyrie's, that dude might be the greatest skilled player of all time.
I know, but Cruz is more of a movie star.
He's just tough to root for.
Cruz is a movie star, and every once in a while does stuff like Magnolia or
he's brilliant actor.
Thunder.
That's kind of how he's known.
Right. But so that's the interesting thing. His 75% of it is movie franchises, and then every once in a while he reminds people he can do this other stuff.
Is he known as a good teammate? And maybe we can't even go there for your guys' business purposes, but
I don't know. I don't actually know anyone who's worked with him. I know that tape when he was berating the crew came out, but that actually seemed like it was for a solid reason.
Right.
In that way, maybe a good leader too, who doesn't give a fuck if he's liked. Jordan.
Yeah,
Jordan. There you go.
For that,
you found it. You found it.
There you go. Yeah,
Kelly. Can't thank you enough, buddy. When you get back to Brooklyn, let's grab a beer. Maybe hit a play. Let's go.
Let's hit a play, and then I'm back before the playoffs. So let's go. Let's walk our 15 minutes to go to Barclays Center. Yeah,
sounds good.
All right,
Kelly. Thanks so much, buddy.
Thank you.
Really fun. Thanks, guys.
Josh, man, I love Kelly AuCoin. How was that?
He knows his ball. He knows his ball. Like he knows his government. He really knows it. He might know. He knows. You said it right. He knows basketball better than we do from a certain age. Like like in the mid 70s.
Him talking about when the Blazers won it. I don't remember that. I mean, I know historically Bill Walton was on the team. I don't remember Wes Unseld and those guys winning it. We lived in Kentucky, bro.
Wes Unseld played for the Knicks, as far as I'm all concerned, forever.
I mean, so but what a fascinating guy. And then you guys both having fathers in politics.
That was weird. That was crazy. They served together. That's that was fun.
Crazy.
That was a lot of fun. I love that guy.
Same. All right. Well, that was Kelly AuCoin. You want to do this next week, buddy?
I sure would.
Let's do it. We'll be right back here next week with another episode of the Rex Chapman Show with super dope Josh Hopkins, powered by basketballnews.com.